One day, Christopher arrived at the vicarage by bus to meet up with his friend, the Vicar of Wellsworth. As he walked into the orchard, he saw the vicar with Trevor, who was looking quite sad. He walked straight towards them both. "Hello there, Vicar. What's the matter with Trevor?"
"Ah, hello, Christopher. Trevor here's got boiler ache, and he won't be able to help us collect any of the Bromley apples that I got growing."
"Oh dear. Do you have any backup plans to get some help in?"
"Well, I telephoned Farmer Fee, and he said he'll bring Terence here as soon as he can."
"That may be a while. I hope you don't mind the waiting." "Not at all," replied Christopher happily. "I'll stay here and keep Trevor some company."
"Splendid. I'll go make some tea and telephone the Fat Controller to see if his works can help mend Trevor. See you later, Christopher."
And the vicar left. Christopher then turned towards Trevor. "Hello, Trevor. Lovely to see you again."
"And to you as well, Christopher,"
wheezed Trevor.
"How's your program coming along?"
"It's coming along fine. I have plenty of stories to share for the 75th anniversary party, even featuring engines that my father and I had never written about before. Do you have a story to tell?"
"Well, with Terence coming, I could tell you about how we became friends,"
replied Trevor. "Are you sure?"
"Oh yes, I may be under the weather, but I have the energy to tell you a story. Might come in handy for your program."
So this was the story Trevor told Christopher about him and Terence. Sir Charles Topham Hatt was building a new harbour due to the congestion at the one near the big station, and Trevor was on loan from the Vicar of Wellsworth to help with the work there. When it was time for Trevor to finally leave, he was sad. However, Thomas told him at the junction, "I'll come and see you if I can. The vicar will look after you, and there's plenty of work for you to do down at the orchard. But we may need you again at the harbour someday." "That would be wonderful," said Trevor, and chuffed happily away back to the orchard. While Trevor was chuffing down the main road, he heard a different kind of chucking sound behind him.
"Hello there. Never thought I'd see someone like you."
It was Terence.
"Well, I am a traction engine," replied Trevor proudly.
"Oh, a traction engine, you say? Well, I'm a crawler tractor."
"Did you say tractor?"
"Yes, I did," replied Terence happily.
"Well, perhaps you should go round me. I can't be wasting my time talking to the likes of you."
Terence was surprised by Trevor's sudden reaction.
"Did I say something offensive?" he asked.
"No, I just don't make a habit of talking to tractors. You're clearly not as useful as us traction engines."
So Terence did as he was told and went around him instead, without saying another word. Terence arrived at his field. He was feeling very sad after his encounter with Trevor. Thomas arrived with Annie and Clarabelle. He had to stop at the signal, and he saw the look on Terence's face. "Are you alright, Terence?" asked Thomas. Then Terence explained to Thomas about Trevor's abrupt reaction. Thomas was surprised at what Terence had told him, but then he remembered what Edward had said to him at the junction after his first meeting with Trevor. "There is a reason for that, you know. Multiple tractors at multiple farms have replaced Trevor over the years as they considered him old-fashioned, and his last owner sent him away to Croc's scrapyard before the Vicar of Wellsworth saved him. So you can understand why he would be untrusting of you." "But that's not very nice to me. It's not been me that ever replaced him, not at all. And I happen to think he did look really useful too." "He is useful, and I think if he ever spends a day with you, he might see that tractors are useful too." As soon as signal was down, Thomas puffed away. A few weeks later, a storm rolled in. Wind and rain buffeted the island of Sodor, and it even hit the construction site of the new harbour. Everything was turned into a mess. The next day, the Fat Controller asked the vicar if he could spare Trevor for a while. Trevor was pleased to be back at the harbour, but he was sorry to see it in such a state. "This looks like a lot more work," he said. "Don't worry," replied Thomas. "The Fat Controller is sending Terence to help you with the work." "Who's Terence?" asked Trevor. "He's a tractor." "A tractor?" Trevor cried. "I understand that you have a dislike for tractors, but Terence isn't like the ones that you've encountered. Terence can see the usefulness in everyone and everything." "I won't work with such a newfangled machine. He'll just break down as soon as he starts work. I can do this work well on my own, just as you saw when I first came here." "Well, the work back then wasn't as much as it is now, and two are better than one, you know. I'm sorry, Trevor, but it's the Fat Controller's decision," and he puffed away. Soon, Terence arrived. He saw Trevor. "Oh, you're that traction engine I encountered a few weeks back. Nice to see you again." But Trevor just looked away and carried on with his work. Later that day, Thomas was making his way over with some trucks of material for the new harbour. Further down the line, there was a broken rail caused by some fallen stone from a goods train on the main line. As Thomas neared the harbour, it happened. "Help!" cried Thomas. "Help! Thomas!" cried Trevor and Terence together. "Don't worry, Thomas. I'll pull you back on the rails," called Terence. "No, you won't," replied Trevor crossly. "I will. I'm stronger than you." Terence tried to be friendly to Trevor, but he had enough of his bad attitude. "Fine then," he replied. So Trevor made his way to the brake van and was chained up to the coupling. Trevor started to haul, but with the combined weight of Thomas and his train of loaded goods, it was too hard for him to pull. Trevor tried harder and harder, but it was no use. Thomas was still derailed. "I'm sorry, Thomas. I don't know what else I can do." "Perhaps I can help?" asked Terence sweetly. Trevor didn't want any help, but he couldn't make an excuse to refuse him. "All right," he sighed. Terence was soon chained to the front of Trevor, and then with a mighty heave they started. "You're doing it! You're doing it!" cried Thomas. "Go for it, you two!" And indeed they did. And in no time at all, Thomas was placed firmly back onto the rails. Trevor and Terence were soon unchained and went to see Thomas. "You two were splendid," praised Thomas. "You both showed your usefulness." "We did?" wondered Trevor. "Of course. You both may be different types of fashion, but you're both strong, and that shows that you two are each really useful." "He's right, you know. I thought you were useful when we first met, and you showed it today," replied Terence. Trevor now felt bad for being rude to Terence. "I'm sorry, Terence, for being rude to you." "It's alright. Thomas told me why you were like that. But I'm not like those other tractors. You are indeed very useful." That made Trevor very happy, and ever since that day, the two vehicles have been firm friends. So there you have it. That was a wonderful story. I will surely use that for the program. Thank you, Trevor. Just then the vicar returned with the tea and with some exciting news. "I just contacted the Fat Controller. He says he's more than happy to have your boiler repaired at his works, Trevor. You'll be there first thing in the morning. Thomas will come and pick you up." "Oh, thank you, Vicar." Later, Terence arrived and began to do Trevor's work. Meanwhile, Trevor was in the shed happily dozing and remembering again the time when he and Terence became good friends.